Did you know that Tezzeret Cruel Captain grabs Lion's Eye Diamond? That's what this Legacy Storm deck cares about. Let's go check it out. In front of you is Legacy Mono Black Tezzeret Storm combo. And I say mono black, but it's not technically mono black. You do have some blue cards in here with Echo of Eons, but you put it to the graveyard using Entomb or Lion's Eye Diamond. So for the most part, it's a colorless card, but technically requires blue mana. And then you have some sideboard copies of Into the Floodmaw to answer things like Null Rod or Collector Oof. Not a black card, but for the most part, this deck is mono black. The reason we're playing this today, Tezzeret Cruel Captain's minus ability searches out Lion's Eye Diamond. You can also find Lion's Eye Diamond with the third chapter of Urza's Saga. And there was a comment in the Storm Discord recently that I can't stop thinking about from community member Quentin Coldman. And Quentin said that the most important thing about Storm decks is access to Lion's Eye Diamond, and this deck has 7 ways to find your Lion's Eye Diamonds, which is pretty interesting. And before I forget, let's thank the member of our community that submitted this donation deck, Peyton Story, who's a member of our Stormtrooper tier. In there, you get to witness all of our deck building that we do as a team, but also with other members of the community, and you also gain access to all of our sideboard guides updates every single month. So Peyton, thank you for your continued support, and I hope that you appreciate this video. So Peyton really wanted to see Tezzeret in this deck because it untaps your Grim Monolith so we can make a bunch of mana, but also it searches out Lion's Eye Diamond and is a backup win condition in case your in case your Tendrils of Agony gets exiled. So Tezzeret is a backup win condition, and I actually used it as a win condition in a recent vintage video, and I was really impressed by just attacking with constructs or whatever you would like to call those animated artifacts. So that is pretty cool. We're playing 4 copies of Defense Grid and only 3 Thoughtseize because we are an Echo of Eons strategy, and having Defense Grid in play is a little bit more valuable than discarding their hand here. There's a single copy of Karn the Great Creator. That's because you can use Beseech the Mirror to put it into play and then go grab your Mycos Nymphalis or the One Ring to end the game, or even Helm of Obedience if you have a Leyline of the Void already on the table. So Karn the Great Creator in this deck list. Peyton is glad that it's in here, wanted to see me play the card that I hate the most, but we're going to play it today just for them. And I think that this deck's pretty sweet. The Death Wish is super spicy, also being able to grab that Mycos Nymphalis, but I don't know why you would do that if you didn't already have Karn the Great Creator. It does grab the One Ring or your other copy of Tendrils of Agony, so it provides a little bit of a redundancy in case your main deck Tendrils does get exiled. So there's a lot to like here. I am really genuinely excited about trying Tezzeret to search out Lion's Eye Diamond. I think that's something I've been wanting to do, but haven't had the opportunity to do yet, and I'm glad that we get to feature that. So let me know what you think of this in the comment section down below, and I just want to hop on in and play some matches, so I'll see you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Goes to the second chapter, so now on their turn they can make a construct, or they can make a construct before blockers when I attack. Currently their construct would be a 4/4. This is not good for me. So they drew the Pinnacle Emissary, which means that they can now make a bunch of drone creatures that are artifacts. So their Urza Saga is likely to outgrow mine now. Now they play a Thought Monitor. Yep. So I don't think that we're going to be able to win with Construct Beatdown anymore. They have 6 cards in their hand. Urza's Bauble. They make another drone. They play Volcanic Island. 4 cards remain. Emery, Lurker of the Lock. They have 3 cards in their hand. They mill over a Metallic Rebuke. And now they Urza's Bauble and reveal my Entomb. Sure. End step, we'll fetch and grab our Surveil land. I'd really like to find like a Thoughtseize or a Defense Grid. So we will Surveil. That is not it. Another land. Okay. So now they're going to Mishra's Bauble. So they'll go up to 5 cards on my turn. So the odds that they have Force of Will are pretty high here. And I have revealed the same Entomb to them twice. We drew Echo. Okay. So I think we're supposed to attack, which sounds crazy because I'm going to throw away a Construct token here. But if they make a Construct token and block, it means that they won't have access to Metallic Rebuke. So that is something I'm interested in knowing about here. They only block 1. Surprising. This would be a great spot if I had the Runehorn Hellkite, but we just don't. So I think I'm supposed to fetch here. So this puts me to 17. We'll grab the Swamp, our last fetchable, because I got rid of the Underground Sea off of a Surveil. And we'll play Beseech the Mirror with Bargain, sacrificing a Chrome Mox. They know that I have Entomb in my hand. They let it resolve. We'll grab another copy of Beseech the Mirror. And now I'll sacrifice the other empty Chrome Mox. And now they sink in a Stupor. So I could make 3 black here and then recast the Beseech. We would lose to a Force of Will. I don't think I really have another choice, so I'll add 3 black in response. Oh, and they're just going to concede. You never found a Force of Will? Wow. Talk about lucky. Okay. So I think we want the Duress, so we'll bring those in. And I don't think we really need anything else out of our sideboard, so what are we going to cut? Probably the Grim Monoliths. I don't think that this is a matchup where we're trying to do big things because we were facing a blue deck. You want to be a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact. So I would like to try this. I don't expect them to have like Null Rod or anything. They might have a Grafdigger's Cage, but I don't know if you're supposed to bring in Null Rod, or I'm sorry, supposed to bring in Into the Floodmaw for that. I think more than likely you're supposed to just not Echo if that's what they have. All right, let's submit. I mean, it would be cool if we made it happen, but this would be a really funny matchup for our Karn the Great Creator to resolve in if we can turn off all of their artifacts. Good hand. I think we keep this. Urza's Bauble. Urza's Bauble. All right. Storm 3. Storm 4. They look at my Beseech the Mirror using 1 Urza's Bauble. So they look at Beseech the Mirror, Lotus Petal, Beseech the Mirror, and now they'll draw 3 cards off of Urza's Baubles. Draw for turn. Dark Ritual would give us Dark Ritual, Duress, Dark Ritual, Beseech the Mirror, Karn the Great Creator. And I think I would like to Duress here, just to make sure they don't have like a Chalice of the Void or something. They have Force of Will, Sink in a Stupor. So we will take the Force of Will and pass the turn. They play Urza's Saga, and now they can play Emery, Lurker of the Lock. Milled over a Flusterstorm. Okay, is this a win? So I can play Beseech the Mirror for Gaia's Will. My bargainable is a Lotus Petal, so that way on the back I don't have the win. So I think what we're supposed to do here is actually just put Karn the Great Creator in play, which feels bad, because nobody wants to have that card on their side of the table. It's just a trash card for trash people. And unfortunately, Peyton is about to make me a trash person. So, yeah, we're going to put my least favorite card on the table here. And I hope you realize that that's just me being sarcastic. If you play Karn the Great Creator, I don't think you're a trash person. You just like trash cards. All right, so where is the trash card? Karn the Great Piece of Trash. Here we go. All right, Karn. Oh, this feels so dirty. Not like this. And now we'll destroy their Seat of the Synod. Pass the turn. Looking at my sideboard, so next turn I could go grab the One Ring, or I could grab a Grim Monolith. Grim Monolith might be the move. Boarding out Grim Monolith, super smart, let me tell you. They play Volcanic Island into Pinnacle Emissary. And now they can make a couple drones. So they drew a Lotus Petal, that helps them here. And then they can use Emery to play a Bauble, make another drone. Yep. So next turn they can attack Karn for 3. Draw for turn. Tezzeret Cruel Captain. So that can grab Lion's Eye Diamond for my Echo. But I still think I would like to minus the Karn here. We'll grab the Grim Monolith. Play the Grim Monolith. Tap the Grim Monolith. We'll play Tezzeret Cruel Captain. And now we'll untap Grim Monolith. Play the Lotus Petal so that way the Tezzeret gains a loyalty counter. And I'm going to pass the turn. I don't need to do anything right now. The third chapter on Urza's Saga. They spent a bit thinking about that, then ultimately they ended up grabbing a Mox Opal, so I don't think that they have like a Grafdigger's Cage or a Graveyard Hate. And now they play Sink in a Stupor as a land. Interesting. They do have another Urza Saga in their hand. Ooh, another Sink in a Stupor. That's not good. Okay. So they bounced my Karn. And now they can replay Thought Monitor. So now they draw 2. They're up to 4 cards in their hand. They play a Mishra's Bauble. And now they can attack the Tezzeret for 2. Ouch. I'm not even sure if playing Karn anymore matters. So they'll draw 2 here off the baubles. But I guess Karn might draw out a Force of Will. Let's play Karn the Great Creator. See if it even resolves. Because if it doesn't, I think I would consider, if this getting forced is better than my Echo getting forced. So now we'll play Lotus Petal. The Karn gains a loyalty. We'll minus the Karn. I'm sorry, I keep on calling Karn. Tezzeret. We'll minus the Tezzeret. And we'll grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. Play the Lion's Eye Diamond. The Tezzeret gains a loyalty. And you could entomb here for another Echo in case they have Force. But I'm pretty confident they don't. I think they have Urza Saga Seat in their hand. So I'm going to just spin the Echo of Eons here. Storm is 5. Okay, so this should be a protected win. We'll play Mox Opal. The Tezzeret gains a loyalty. Let's play Thoughtseize. Storm is 7. They have nothing, so they're dead. We'll take Thoughtcast. Play Chrome Mox. Triggers happen. We'll exile 1 copy of Beseech the Mirror. Tezzeret back up to 4 loyalty. Grab my basic Swamp. And then we have to sacrifice a Lotus Petal here. And then I will bargain away the Grim Monolith for Tendrils of Agony. Pretty sweet. Target you. That was awesome. And we win the match. Alright, so Tezzeret Cruel Captain for Lion's Eye Diamond did matter here in match number 1, which is fairly exciting. 4 more matches left to go. Hopefully we get 4 more wins. Stick around and find out if that's true. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Time for the second match. We're on the play. Let's go. Turn 1 Karn the Great Creator. What's there not to love? Okay, so realistically, this is a first turn Tezzeret Cruel Captain that searches out Lion's Eye Diamond into Echo of Eons? I think I'm down to try this. I don't have a single idea of what the opponent's playing. If they Force of Will me, this whole hand collapses, which would not be good. But I do think that this is a exciting hand if they don't have Force of Will. I don't think there's a way to sneak the Karn in here. Like, you could go Dark Ritual, Tezzeret. I'm sorry, Dark Ritual, Grim Monolith, Tezzeret, Karn the Great Creator. But then you can't Echo of Eons on the first turn. So I don't know if that's actually worth it. They have 5 cards in hand. We'll play Dark Ritual. Play the Grim Monolith. And it looks like they have hit the F6. So we'll play the Tezzeret. If there was a sideboard Lion's Eye Diamond, which there shouldn't be, but if there was, for our single Karn the Great Creator, it would be perfect. I'm just not convinced that's a good play. What you could do is play Karn the Great Creator, and then next turn you have Mycosynth Lattice, and they wouldn't be able to play the game anymore. Is that better than echoing? They're on 5 cards. Like, what? Part of me is like, what if they're Oops All spells, because they hit F6 and they mulligan to 5? Alright, we're going to go for the Karn line. I don't know if it's correct. We'll play Karn the Great Creator. Minus the Karn. Feels so dirty. And now we'll grab Tormod's Crypt. And we'll play Tormod's Crypt. The Tezzeret gains a loyalty. Oh, I actually don't have Lattice next turn because my Grim Monolith doesn't untap. So maybe this is all just a big play mistake. And they concede. So I think that they are, in fact, Oops All spells. Alright, so we're going to board like their Oops All spells here. Alright, and then we'll bring in our Helm of Obedience. Board out Defense Grid. We probably don't need the Death Wish. And we'll try this. I mean, if they're not Oops All spells, I boarded very poorly, but we'll try to make it work. Game number 2, our opponent has kept a 7-card hand. This is a first turn combo, but I don't know what exactly they're playing. If they're actually Oops All spells, I die. So should I just mulligan for Leyline of the Void? I think so. Like, this hand is so much better. We'll keep this. And we'll put the Echo of Eons on the bottom. Okay. They have Leyline. We have Leyline. Let's go. I like how they boarded in Leyline versus my, what is it called? Tezzeret Cruel Captain into Karn the Great Creator start. They named Goblin Charbelcher. What do you think you're facing? We draw another Entomb. Not a very good draw. Okay. We'll grab Underground Sea. And let's play Thoughtseize. So it looks like we're facing Forge. So I boarded wrong. We'll take the One Ring. And pass the turn. I guess we actually didn't board wrong. This is actually how I would board for Forge. I mean, I would have brought in the Into the Floodmaws, but the Leyline Helm beats the One Ring, so it's not bad to have. We'll play the Undercity Sewers, because if I play Saga this turn, I can't make a Construct next turn, so that's not a good move. Alright, so I don't know what's in their hand at this point. A Beseech the Mirror would be lethal if I could find it, because it would grab the Helm of Obedience, which is a win. We'll play Urza Saga, and then Tezzeret Cruel Captain. We'll plus the Tezzeret, and pass the turn. Sorry if I'm a little nasally. I'm still recovering from being sick the last week. A second copy of Ancient Tomb. Chromox. I guess we'll play Chromox. Pumps up our Tezzeret here. The question is, do I even want to show them the Tomb? In case I lose. Yeah, let's do it. We'll minus the Tezzeret. And grab a Mox Opal. We'll play the Mox Opal. This will give the Tezzeret another loyalty. Pass. They drew a spell. Glaring Fleshraker. Okay. Into Mox Opal. They have 1 card remaining in their hand. And a Manifold Key. Sure, so they are now Hellbent. And Beseech the Mirror still wins the game, so that is the card I would like to draw. We make a Construct token. Another Entomb. Not a great draw. We will make another Construct. Grab a Lion's Eye Diamond, I guess. No, Lion's Eye Diamond doesn't help me. We'll grab another Chromox. Tezzeret goes up to 5 loyalty. Imprint a Entomb. Let's minus the Tezzeret. It thins the deck at this point, so I don't see a reason not to. We'll grab a Lotus Petal, play the Lotus Petal, makes our construct larger, and now we'll attack for 6. Hiya. And maybe this turn I will Entomb just to get a card out of my deck. They drew another spell. Another Manifold Key, sure. And now they can use a key to make their Glaring Fleshraker unblockable, and they can attack my Tezzeret. You got it. End step, we will Entomb, and we'll put Bloodstained Mire to the graveyard. 43 cards left in deck. Another Urza Saga. Okay. So my Tezzeret Cruel Captain will die. C'est la vie. And we'll pass. We need our opponent to draw another blank card here. And it looks like they drew a spell. Glaring Fleshraker because they tap for 3 mana? Maybe not. Okay. Sure. So my Tezzeret dies. 4 mana for a Karn the Great Creator. Yeah. So this shuts off the Helm of Obedience from winning the game for me. That said, if I draw a Beseech the Mirror, I'm pretty sure I just have a Storm win. And now they Ensnaring Bridge, so I can no longer attack. Annoying. Verdant Catacombs is the draw. We'll play it. And I just have to pass. And now they can play Mycosynth Lattice, so I lose. We never drew anything. It looks like they drew Kozilek's Command. Yep. Alright, I'm good to concede. We can go to the next one. I had several opportunities to win this game, and we never drew Beseech the Mirror. or anything slightly relevant. Okay, so that happens. We want into the Floodmaw. What to do? I think I'm going to get rid of the Leyline of the Void package and just not worry about the One Ring. And then we'll bring the Death Wish back in. Let's try this. Alright, on the play for game 3. I mean, if they don't open up on Leyline, this hand's incredible, but it's a big if. Alright, we'll see. They took a mulligan, and they did open up on Leyline, so I am punished. We'll play Underground Sea past the turn. I do have 4 into the Floodmaws I could draw, or Beseech the Mirror, or Echo of Eons hardcast. So there are chances to win here. That is not it. We'll pass the turn. There's this tower, so now they have 4 mana into the One Ring. Okay. Now they draw a card. Echo, so I can hardcast it. And I think that's what we'll do here. Dark Ritual, Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, tap it for a blue. We'll play another Mox Opal, tap that for a blue. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. And now I will hardcast Echo, and we'll add 3 black in response. Storm is 7. So I have Beseech the Mirror. I can go grab Karn the Great Creator. I cannot Tendrils of Agony for lethal due to the One Ring. So let's play the Beseech the Mirror. And we'll put Karn the Great Creator in play. And I'm 1 mana short here of Mycos Inflatus. So I don't think that's like a thing I want to show right now. I'll minus the Karn. And let's go grab the One Ring. I mean, I could grab the Lion's Eye Diamond from Exile too. But I think I want the One Ring. Pass the turn. They have another Urza's Tower, so now they have 7 mana here. And they have their own Karn the Great Creator. And they're going to animate the ring. No! Ah, brutal. Wow. I think we're locked out. I can't Guys Will win through the Leyline. And Karn shuts off my Echoes. So I think we're just done. And now they'll draw with the One Ring. We draw Echo. I can't do anything. I'm a mana short of Beseech the Mirror for Into the Floodmaw. But even if I had that, I can't Echo due to the Leyline of the Void. So I'm going to concede here. The opponent just, they had it. So unfortunate, we lose match number 2 to Mystic Forge combo or Karn Forge or whatever you like to call it. And we are 1-1. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Round number 3, we are on the play. Let's try to get a match win. So first turn defense grid into Death Wish, which I'm not sure does anything meaningful. I guess it grabs the ring. Okay, I think we try this. I don't know if they're playing blue or not, but it is a first turn defense grid. Marsh Flats will play Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, and I'm going to play Lion's Eye Diamond here. If it gets Force of Willed, it gets Force of Willed. We don't actually need it. And I think I want to hold the Chromox in case we draw Beseech the Mirror. I'll grab the basic Swamp so that way Wasteland doesn't hurt, and then Defense Grid. That resolves. Pass. Once Upon a Time. So probably not a great Defense Grid matchup. They find Thespian Stage. So our best draws are Entomb, Echo of Aeons, or Beseech the Mirror. They play Mox Diamonds, so most likely lands. They get rid of Otawara Soaring City. And they play Urza Saga into Malevolent Rumble for Disruptor Flute. So now if I put the One Ring in play, they can Disruptor Flute it. But they also found Dark Depth, so they might take that instead. They did choose Disruptor Flute. Okay. So I don't think we're allowed to put the One Ring into play. We draw Thoughtseize. We'll cast it. Rumble, Once Upon a Time, Exploration, Disruptor Flute. We'll take the Flute. Pass the turn. I cannot cast Death Wish here. It costs 3 mana. I don't have the mana to cast it. Urza Saga goes to the second chapter. They play the Exploration. They drew Karakas for turn. And now they can make a construct. We drew our own Urza Saga. How about that? Okay. So I could put Death Wish right now for the One Ring. The question is, do we think they have a main deck Needle for Urza Saga? But also, I'd be putting myself at like 8 life, and that construct would kill me very quickly. This Death Wish not looking particularly good here. I'm going to pass. Instead of the Death Wish, I almost think that like Mastermind's Acquisition would be better. Just thinking about it out loud. Because at least then I could grab a card of my main deck, like Beseech the Mirror, that would win the game. Or Echo of Eons or something else. So I think the Death Wish should just be Mastermind's Acquisition. They make a construct. Another observation I've had is that the Karn the Great Creator and the Mycosynth Lattice is tough to pull off in this deck because you have no way of protecting Karn the Great Creator from being attacked. Like, you don't have an ensnaring bridge or removal or anything. So, just a thought that I've had throughout the league so far. We're only 2.5 matches in, but just some food for thought. And they crop rotation for Dark Depths, so now they're representing lethal. And Lava Spur Boots, so that will kill me here. Yeah, that'll do, pig. That'll do. And we lose the game. Okay, that hurt. We'll bring in into the Flood Maw, get rid of Defense Grid, take out the Karn the Great Creator. I just don't think it's right, and then we'll bring in Duress. Actually, I think I want both copies of Duress, and we'll take out one Grim Monolith. Or the Death Wish. But I guess the Death Wish is my backup Tendrils, so I don't want to do that. Yeah, we'll do one Grim Monolith. And that could be an argument for keeping Death Wish over Mastermind's Acquisition, unless you want to waste the sideboard slot on the Tendrils still, and you could do that. It's just, I feel like Mastermind's Acquisition would be a little bit more flexible than Death Wish, while also not costing you half your life, if you're like looking to grab the One Ring. Game number 2, we're on the play. I mean, this is a first turn Echo. We take these. Keep. Play Chrome Mox. Imprint Thoughtseize, Lines at Diamond, Lines at Diamond. And now we'll Entomb, grab the Echo, blue, black, and we'll spin. Floating 2 black and 1 blue. This is so if we draw Entomb again, we already have the blue if you don't have Lines at Diamond. Is this a win? Death Wish and 2 Tendrils. Play Mox Opal. You do have to be mindful of Force of Vigor here. We'll play Chrome Mox. No imprint. Tap for a black. Play another Mox Opal. Tap it for a black. We'll play another Chrome Mox. Play the Lines at Diamond. And now Death Wish holding priority. We'll add 3 black. This is your Death Wish. And we'll grab the card that actually kills them. Tendrils of Agony. Boom. Alright, so we won a game by casting Death Wish for lethal. I think the objective of this deck has been completed, but let's see if we can finish now by winning some more games. Alright, so yeah, that was sweet. No changes on my end. Our opponent on the play for game 3, we've opened the Guy's Will, so the Beseech the Mirrors don't have anything to do other than the Karn the Great Creator we sideboarded out. So I think you're supposed to mulligan this. So technically you could grab the basic swamp off of the Polluted Delta. You could discard them twice and then build towards Entomb into Echo of Eons. The question is that better than just taking a mulligan? I think we'll send it back. This is fine. Get rid of Chrome Mox and Flood Maw. Alright, so I'm looking to draw Entomb or Echo of Eons. They begin with Once Upon a Time for a Wasteland. Okay, Mox Diamond gets rid of Ghost Quarter, Urza Saga, and they play a Rumble into 4 lands. They choose Wasteland, so they have double Wasteland in their hand. We draw a 3rd Lines at Diamond. Well, I'll play Duress. Their hand is 3 lands. So I could try to play out Lines at Diamonds to avoid Disruptor Flute, or I can hold them to avoid Force of Vigor. I don't know which is actually better here. I feel like I can at least play out 1. And then we'll pass. Like, I think playing out 1 is kind of free. So they go to the 2nd chapter on Urza's Saga. They play a Wasteland. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to play out my Saga, knowing that they're just sitting on a pile of Wastelands. I don't know. I guess it cuts them down on mana a little bit. Oh, the reason... I guess, never mind. It probably doesn't matter. Because Saga triggers so they could destroy it in response. I was thinking that if I drew Beseech the Mirror, it's better to hold Saga in my hand, but they could just destroy the Urza Saga in response to the add mana ability. They make another construct, and now they're thinking. I wonder if it's like Grafdigger's Cage versus Lava Spur Boots when I haven't done anything all game. I do think I was supposed to hold the Urza Saga though. Just in case I draw Beseech Dimir. There's no world in which I can cast it if they wasteland me now. They grab Expedition Map. Okay. They destroy my Urza Saga. Now they attack for 4. Ouch. And there's the punish. Bryant, you idiot. Alright, pass the turn. That Bryant guy is so dumb. Why doesn't he just think before he makes plays? Why doesn't he just think? And now they attack for 8. They already have lethal on board. I have to draw a mana here. I need 1 mana. Can we do it? Bryant Cook is the worst. Why doesn't he just make the right play all the time? Alright, so no point in dwelling on it. I'm done joking around. I should have held the Saga. I didn't see a point until it was too late. And, you know, sometimes you learn things, and there I learned, hey, my deck has a 4-drop in it. It could be relevant. They drew Life from the Loam. They still have lethal on board, so it doesn't actually change much for me here. And the verdict? No way, they're going to give me the mana I need. Opponent, you are too kind. Have I ever told you that? Really. I'm a big fan. Just love your work, really. Thank you so much. Alright, so now we get to win. Dark Ritual. Lion's Eye Diamond. Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll play Mox Opal. Tap the Mox Opal. There's no justice in the world. That's all this teaches me. I played like garbage, and it looks like we're going to win this. Unless they somehow have like an endurance in their hand that I didn't see. Are you conceding? Why isn't okay? Magic Online just wasn't letting me doing anything there, but we got the win. How about that? The opponent gave us the 4th mana. Just incredibly kind of them. Yeah, so we got the win. That's sweet. We're now 2-1, even though I don't deserve it. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. The 4th round, we are on the play again, running a little hot in that aspect. Okay, so this is a first turn Tezzeret plus Thoughtseize, and you have an Urza Saga. I'm willing to try it. I don't know how good this hand actually is. So, we'll play the Chrome Mox, imprint the Guy's Will, Lion's Eye Diamond, play the Mox Opal, and play Urza Saga, and now we'll play the Tezzeret Cruel Captain. That resolves. We'll plus and untap the Mox Opal, and play Thoughtseize. We'll take the Prismatic Ending. Pass the turn. They play Island. We drew Verdant Catacombs. I think we're supposed to... Okay, first step, we'll minus the Tezzeret, because I don't want to surveil and then shuffle my deck. We'll grab another Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll play it. Tezzeret gains a loyalty. And then in my main phase, I'm going to surveil, because if I hit an Echo of Eons, I want to be able to cast it. So we'll surveil 1. Not an Echo of Eons. Pass the turn. And now they're going to Brainstorm. So I think something else I've learned this league is that this deck really wants something to grab with Urza Saga to look at cards. So like a Candy Trail or something. Because there's been a few times where I just don't need mana. Or like Tezzeret could grab the Candy Trail too, and then I could potentially go up on cards or card quality. But instead, this deck just does nothing. So I think like a Candy Trail could be decent. We'll make a Construct token. The Tezzeret goes up to 3 loyalty, and now we'll draw. Defense Grid. We'll make another Construct. Tezzeret will gain another loyalty. We already have a Mox Opal in play. So I think we're supposed to grab like a Lotus Petal. And we'll attack for 7. They're going to fetch and cast Swords to Plowshares. And how we win this game? Ooh, Dress Down. What? That's disgusting. So they're on Stifle Knot. Okay, so I think how we win this game might just be using Tezzeret's ultimate ability. So Tezzeret goes up to 6. We'll untap the Mox Opal. Maybe I should have done that and kept the Lotus Petal in play. Whoops. My bad. I did not consider that. They play Plateau. So now they have Snapcaster Mage into Prismatic Ending. Sure. I really, really need to draw an artifact for my turn. And they go after Lion's Eye Diamond. Sure. Let's see it. No! Worst case scenario. We'll pass. That stinks. Like an action spell would have been great there. Another artifact so I could start making creatures would have been great. Instead, we just drew nothing. Ah, brutal. So now they'll attack my Tezzeret. Flame of Anor to kill my defense grid, and they get to draw 2. I think this game's over. They had too much time to stabilize. Beseech the Mirror, but now it's too late. The Guy's Will is underneath my Chrome Mox too. So what does this even get? Like Karn the Great Creator? But I don't know what Karn does for me here. Yeah, like the fact that Beseech the Mirror only... I guess I could grab Echo of Eons and pray. That's probably what the line is here. So I will just cast Beseech the Mirror. No bargain. And it resolves it. They tried to pay a cost, but then didn't. So I will grab Echo of Eons. And then we'll minus the Tezzeret Cruel Captain. Go grab another Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll play it. This allows me to beat like a Spell Pierce. We'll make blue. Make black. Echo of Eons. Storm is 3. And they did have the Spell Pierce, so I played around Spell Pierce well enough. Echo of Eons floating a black mana. This is a win if our opponent has nothing. No, because I don't have Metalcraft. Awkward. I'll play Urza Saga. So if I play Defense Grid, it could get destroyed again by Flame of Anor or Prismatic Ending, so I don't want to play it out this turn. I think I do want to try to keep my Tezzeret alive, so I'll play a Mox Opal. And that means the Tezzeret now has 3 loyalty. And I'll just pass the turn. They attack the Tezzeret, it goes to 1 loyalty. They play a Tamiyo Inquisitive Student. 3 mana open, 7 cards in hand. And they do have Flame of Anor. They destroy my Mox Opal and then transform the Tamiyo immediately. 8 cards in hand now. They play Prismatic Vista as their land for the turn. We draw another Defense Grid. Urza Saga goes up to the 2nd chapter. Play Verdant Catacombs. Let's try Defense Grid. They fetch in response. Looks like they might have a Brainstorm or a Spell Pierce. They Brainstorm. Storm is 2. If this resolves, I can attempt another win here, even without the Guy's Will. And it does resolve. That's good. So we can fetch, go grab the Swamp. Play the Mox Opal. This adds another counter to the Tezzeret. Tap for a black. I can use the Tezzeret to go grab a Lion's Eye Diamond, and then we can spin with Echo again. Alternatively, Storm is 3. Let's say I go grab like a Lotus Petal. Beseech the Mirror would be Storm 5. Beseech the Mirror would be 6. Hold on. Lotus Petal is 4. Beseech the Mirror is 5. Beseech the Mirror is 6. Beseech the Mirror is 8. Beseech the Mirror is 9. Tendrils is 10. I think that's actually just lethal. So we'll minus the Tezzeret. Go grab a Lotus Petal. Play the Lotus Petal. Cast Beseech the Mirror with Bargain. Sacrifice the Urza Saga. Storm 5. Yeah, this is just a win. Sacrifice the Chrome Mox. Beseech the Mirror again. Sacrifice the Opal. Beseech the Mirror again. Okay, I guess it wasn't 10. My math was 1 off, but it's still good enough when they're at 18. And now Tendrils of Agony. We did it. No Guy's Will needed. Wow. I feel like I got a little lucky here. I did not expect to win this game. Let's head to the post board. So one thing I'm learning is I do not like the Grim Monoliths. I just feel like this deck doesn't need them. Like, I know it's nice to accelerate into Tezzeret with the Grim Monolith, but I just don't feel like it's an actual aspect of the deck we care about. So if these were like Wishclaw Talismans or some other action spell, I would probably like it a little bit more. Like Runehorn Hellkite or in like Candy Trail, actually. Like, those would be the 2 cards I add. Like, I think that those would be meaningful improvements over the Grim Monoliths. We'll bring in the 2 copies of Duress. Whoops. Take out the Grim Monolith. Like, Runehorn Hellkite is another action spell, and Candy Trail digs. So I like both of those there. And then I think we want some number of Into the Floodmaws. A lot of these decks have like Deafening Silence or Lavinia or something like that in the sideboard. So we'll get rid of the Death Wish, take out the Karn the Great Creator. I realize that I'm only going to have the one Tendrils of Agony, and then you have Constructs and Tezzeret. Those are our win conditions. And maybe I'll cut one Mox Opal. We'll try this. Okay, game number 2 on the draw. This is a first turn Echo versus a deck with a bunch of interaction. So a little bit risky. They play Scalding Tarn and pass. We have Bloodstained Mire. I think I'm going to just surveil and look for a protection spell. We do have 9 of them in our deck now, so I'll take the chance and wait one turn. And if we don't find it, I can Entomb for another Echo and then try double Echo next turn. And they're just leaving open mana, so they probably have something good here. We'll grab Undercity Sewers. Beseech. I like that. Okay. We'll play out the Swamp. And I think I'll pass the turn. On the end step, I can Entomb out an Echo. They use Prismatic Vista to search out Basic Island, and they cast a Brainstorm. They do not surveil on the end step, interesting. And they redraw one of the cards. So their hand is fairly stacked if this is the play. And now they fetch with the Prismatic Vista. So they're most likely a back-to-basic stack. They ponder. Everything about this tells me that they have a couple pieces of interaction in their hand. End step will try and Tomb. I really wish I had a Runehorn Hellkite in this deck. We'll grab Echo of Eons. Another Entomb. Let's try Chrome Mox. They're going to consign my Chrome Mox. Okay. What about a Mox Opal? How about a Lion's Eye Diamond? Am I allowed to have that? They fetch in response. Okay. Another Consign to Memory. We'll play Dark Ritual. They have 4 cards in their hand. And we'll try Beseech the Mirror. Sacrificing the Mox Opal. The Force of Will, going down to 2 cards in their hand. We will pass. They play Flooded Strand. Lotus Petal. I will attempt to flashback Echo of Eons. Storm 2. They have the Spell Pierce. They have 1 card left. They just draw and pass, so now they're at 2 cards. Chrome Mox, so I can Entomb again on the end step for another Echo. They play Ponder into another Ponder. And they did not shuffle. They play Prismatic Vista, 2 cards in their hand. End step will play Entomb. Grab another Echo of Eons. We drew Thoughtseize. I think I'll cast that here. What are you holding? Lorien Revealed Prismatic Ending. So we'll hit the Lorien Revealed. Pass the turn. And they did not fetch. So they wanted the top card of their deck. And they pass. Dark Ritual. Is it Surgical? No! Come on! Oh, no! Not like this. Wow. Alright, we have to pass. I need to draw Beseech the Mirror. They search out Basic Plains. Alright, they drew Tameo. If I draw Beseech the Mirror, it's lethal. Come on, deck. There's 3 of them. No luck. Pass the turn. Our window is closing now because they're about to start drawing 2 cards per turn. They attack with the Tameo. So they get to investigate and create a clue, and now they can draw a card. Thunder Trap Trainer. Yeah. I think this game's over. They found Force of Negation. Okay. Next one. Ah. What a bummer. The Surgical off the top was too good. I'm going to just resubmit. I know that we didn't see any hate permanents, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. On the play for game 3. I just don't think that this is good enough. If this hand had a Lion's Eye Diamond, I would snap keep it. It's just, the grid isn't likely to resolve. You need the 3rd chapter on Urza Saga to not get hit by Consign to Memory. It's also very slow. Send it. They kept 7. I'm going to keep this. We'll bottom Beseech the Mirror, and I'm going to just try to jam a turn 1 defense grid and pray that it resolves. And then from there, we have to draw like a Dark Ritual into the Beseech the Mirror. I mean, we're asking for a lot with this hand, but it gives us a chance. And I'm playing the grid on turn 1 so we can avoid Consign to Memory. And they have Force of Will. Okay. They play Basic Island. Let's play Lotus Petal. Thoughtseize. So now we can pay for a Spell Pierce. They Brainstorm in response. Thoughtseize on the stack. What a hand. Guess we take the Force of Will. Pass the turn. They play Prismatic Vista and they fetch. So they have one unknown card that they were protecting, which was Stony Silence. How about that? Okay. Pass the turn. That doesn't do it. I have to pass. Another Dark Ritual could. They play Plateau. Like, it is possible to win this if I draw another Dark Ritual. That was not another Dark Ritual. They play Ponder, and they pass. They did not shuffle with the Ponder, so their Ponder was clearly good. And they just pass the turn again. We draw another dead card. They Prismatic Ending my Chrome Mox, sure. Pass. Snapcaster Mage. Prismatic Ending. You got it. Okay. We'll go to cleanup and discard an Echo. They have another island. Ouch. 15. We'll go to cleanup. Discard Echo of Eons. I mean, the odds that they have another piece of counter magic now are incredibly high, so I think our window closed. I needed to draw that second Dark Ritual much earlier. We drew a land. We'll pass. Another Ponder. They play Tundra. We go to 11. I will go to 10 life and fetch. We'll grab under City Sewers. Keep the Duress. And we'll play it. They have Spell Pierce. Goodbye. So you might be saying, but you could play Dark Ritual and pay for it. You could, but how I win this game is Beseech the Mirror, and I need more black mana for that, so I don't think that's a good choice. So they attack, I'll go to 8. We'll try a defense grid that we know that they have consigned to memory for. Another Spell Pierce. Pass the turn back. Hardcast Lorien revealed. Sure. Alright, so we go to 6. Defense grid. They use the known consigned to memory. Pass the turn. Alright, so I'm at 4. Urza's Saga. I think it's too late for that card to be useful. The Surgical Extraction or Echoes. I don't care about that. Saga. We'll play Tezzeret. Maybe they'll burn a counterspell on this. Sure. Pass the turn. They have 4 cards in hand. They dropped a 5. So I guess there's a world in which they drew a lot of dead cards, but I doubt it. 4th Aralingas? No, Thundertrap Trainer with the Offspring. They apparently missed on the first one. They found Surgical Extraction, which I'm not sure matters here. Saga goes to the second chapter. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. Lion's Eye Diamond. I guess the Surgical does matter because I can't Guys will line through it because they'll exile the Dark Ritual. Beseech the Mirror, bargain away Lion's Eye Diamond. And they have Forcible exiling Force of Will. Okay, so we lose match number 4, and we are now 2-2. The Best Legacy Podcast? That would be Eternal Glory featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Coval and Phil Gallagher. We're available on all major podcast platforms and YouTube. The final match. We are on the play. Let's finish this with a positive record. Alright, this seems fine to me. Keep. It's also crazy how big of a difference Runehorn Hellkite would have made in this league. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, I love that card. It's so good, and I really missed it this entire league. We're facing the boogeyman of the format, Reanimator. I think we're supposed to take the Entomb. Pass the turn. They play Polluted Delta, and then likely the Tamiyo Inquisitive Student. You got it. We draw Echo of Eons, which is pretty good here. And now we'll slam the defense grid, which should resolve, unless they drew exactly Daze. So now we're passing. This Urza Saga will find a Lion's Eye Diamond, assuming that it doesn't get destroyed. They play the other Polluted Delta, and they attack. They get to investigate, so they create a clue. A Dark Ritual off the top would not win. I mean, I could go Dark Ritual and Tomb Echo, but it doesn't give me a deterministic win with Beseech the Mirror, is what I'm trying to say. They draw off the clue. Now we'll draw. And I did, in fact, draw Dark Ritual. How about that? So I'm able to spin off of the Echo, or I can just wait a turn, and then next turn I do have a deterministic win, but they'll also have 3 mana, so they could pay for Defense Grid. I think I'll pass, and then we can just make a construct and play it a little bit more slowly, rather than trying to force a win when we don't need to. Because if they reanimate a large creature here, I don't care. There's a Defense Grid in play. And then no matter what, I get to Echo next turn. They Ponder. And if they do find Wasteland and destroy my Urza Saga, I could still Echo next turn. So It's not the end of the world. They play Undercity Sewers, and they surveil away Daze. They attack with the Tamiyo, sure. End step will create a construct. We draw another Entomb. I'll just make a colorless mana here. Go grab the Lion's Eye Diamond. Dark Ritual. And then Beseech the Mirror with Bargain. Sacrifice the construct. We'll add 3 black mana to our mana pool. The construct being our bargainable here is so funny to me. Alright, so we'll grab the guy as well. And now I can just replay my graveyard. Replay the Urza Saga, which will end up most likely being our bargain permanent. We'll play Dark Ritual. Cast Thoughtseize for Storm. They didn't draw much of anything. We'll take the Reanimate. Storm is 6. So Beseech the Mirror would be 7. Beseech the Mirror would be 8. Tendrils of Agony would be 9. So it's free for me to cast a couple spells here. So let's play Entomb. We'll just put a land to the graveyard. Play another Entomb. Put Bloodstained Mire to the graveyard. Beseech the Mirror with Bargain. Sacrifice the Urza Saga. And now Tendrils of Agony. Storm is 10. Boom. We win game 1 over Reanimator. Okay. Sweet. Our deck functioned like it should. I'm a big fan of that. Alright, and now we do the Leyline of the Void plan. Bring in the Helm of Obedience. I think we probably want the Duress. So a lot of these decks tend to board in Dothy Voidwalker, so I can't help but feel like maybe we're supposed to take out Entomb. And I know that seems a little crazy, but it just means that our deck is better against their hate. And then we'll take out Grim Monolith. Get rid of the Karn the Great Creator. Get rid of the Death Wish. Let's bring in 1 into the Flood Maw. And I'd like another, but I just don't know what I'm actually supposed to cut. Maybe a Tezzeret? We'll try that. Submit. This looks pretty good to me. We cut a Tezzeret and then we open both. I don't think that this is a keep, unfortunately. Just too awkward. And they kept 7. Well, we have ley lines. The issue is that the rest of the hand doesn't do anything. I'm going to begrudgingly keep. We'll bottom the guys, will. So I guess the one nice thing is that we have double ley line, which means Brazen Borrower isn't an answer, at least one. They have Underground Sea and Thoughtseize. So they get to see my shame here. They take the Beseech the Mirror. My best draw is honestly just like a fetch land, so I can play this Duress. No, it's so awkward. We'll play the Lion's Eye Diamond and the Mox Opal. Pass the turn. The Mox Opal resolves. If our Helm of Obedience gets discarded, it's a little weird, but we could always shuffle it back in with Echo of Eons. They shuffled on the Ponder. They have 5 cards in their hand. They fetch with the Bloodstained Mire. And now a Tamiyo Inquisitive Student. We ripped Echo. So they didn't even think about dazing either of these last turn. I'm going to get really greedy here. We're just going to jam. If it gets forced, it gets forced. We probably lose, but I think I win this game if it resolves, most likely. And that was good. We'll play the Urza Saga. Play Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal. They're F6'd. I'm just going to jam the Helm here. If they're going to... Ooh, they on F6'd. Okay. Maybe I'm not jamming the Helm now. We'll play Grid. They dazed it. We'll pay. And pass the turn. So Thoughtseize is a little bit of a bummer, but we could always Echo of Aeons if that is the case. They plus the Tamiyo. And now a Brainstorm. They fetch with Polluted Delta down to 15. And another Ponder. So any mana off the top wins the game here. And they did not shuffle. Alright, deck, I need a single mana. I don't think that's too much to ask. That'll do, Pig. That'll do. We'll play Urza Saga. And we'll play Helm of Obedience to end the league. I think that's just poetic. Like, it's so good. Boom. Take that, Reanimator. Nuh-uh-uh. You can't force of will. Sorry. Nope. Read Defense Grid. You dead. Activate the Helm of Obedience. Show us your shame. Do it. Yes. Show us the shame. We exiled their whole library. Go. Beautiful. The best deck in Legacy just lost to a deck that registered Death Wish. Yes. All right, so shout out to Peyton's Story for the donation deck today. I think if you were looking to continue playing this, I really would add in like a Candy Trail and a Runehorn Hellkite over the Grim Monoliths. That would be my starting point. The Tezzerets were good. I did like the ability to have Lionside Diamond more often. I did wonder about having more Saga targets, like an Aether Spellbomb could have been good. It's something I realized midway through the league. You could play a green land in your deck and then play a Haywire Might. Something like a Nile Spellbomb could be good over the Tormod's Crypt, so that way you can use it to cantrip. It's just an option. These are things that I realized. I know that we worked on the deck together before I played it, but they're things that came to my mind after I started playing the game. So thank you again to Peyton. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. If you have any feedback for Peyton, put that in the comment section down below. I'm sure that they would love to hear from you. But that's all I've got for today. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. And as always, keep storming. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested, you can visit theepicstorm.com/donation decks to see your combo deck here on this very YouTube channel. You can even join me in a video in the Epic tier. It's totally worth it, I promise. And see ya. Thanks for watching.